So for the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project. Guys, I'm literally going over the midterm right now. You probably want to pay attention and not talk. I'm going to start a new project called Midterm Prep. And I'm going to start off with the simplest, the main part, which is the big block piece. Now, on your midterm, you'll have drawings that will say how big everything has to be. It'll be your responsibility to mention them properly. Here, I'm just going to kind of make up numbers because I'm doing a sample. So I'm going to start with this main block piece. He's going to be 4 inches by 4 inches by half an inch thick. And I'm going to start with a center point rectangle. That way, my origin is sort of built around it. I'm going to equal both sides so it's square. I'm going to dimension this to 4 inches. I'm going to extrude it half an inch. I'm now going to make the hole for the pin. I'm going to use a simple circle. I'm going to draw on this axis. I'm going to vertical it to the origin. I'm going to dimension this circle to be 0.25. It's a 1/4 inch hole. And it's going to be, I'm going to dimension it from the bottom to be 1 inch from the bottom. Actually, 0.5 from the bottom. That looks better. I can extrude by hitting E, and I'm going to cut this through. I'm now going to build the slot. I'm going to start at the top of the slot. I'm going to use center point slot. I'm going to make this a 1/4 inch wide. I'm going to make sure the center of the slot is vertical to the origin. I'm going to set the overall length of this slot to be 3 inches, or 3.5 inches. And I'm going to set it so the center of the slot is 0.5 from the top. I'm going to shoot this all the way through. I'm now going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to start a sketch. I'm going to project the geometry of the slot. I'm going to use offset to make a second slot that's bigger by a 1/4 inch. No, by 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to extrude this 1/4 of an inch inwards. So I'm going to cut 0.25. Now, I'll be paying attention to this as I do it because this is literally what we're going to do for the test. It's going to be very similar to this. So I now have my block piece. He's done. I could add some fillets. If I dimension fillets, I'd show them. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to save this as base. The next piece I'm going to make is I'm going to make the stopper piece in the middle. So my stopper piece is going to be 0.5 inches on the bottom. He's going to be a 1/4 inch tall. I'm going to extrude a new circle. This guy's going to be a 1/4 inch circle. This is going to be the part that goes into the slot to hold it in place. And he is going to be a 1/2 inch tall. That way he can sit out and get grabbed by the lever arm piece. I'm also going to change his color to be, I don't know, gold. Save. Now I'm going to make the arm piece. I'm going to start a sketch. I'm going to start with doing end point slot or center point slot. I'm going to make this thing a 1/2 inch. across. I'm going to make this thing also 4 inches long. And I want to go from very tippy top to very tippy bottom and get to be 4. Nope. When I do the bottom, I want to look for the other symbol, that round symbol. Make it 4 inches long. I'm going to extrude it 1/4 inch. I'm now going to add the pinhole in the bottom. I'm going to start a sketch. Nope. I'm going to project geometry so I can see all the shapes here. I'm going to put a 1/4 inch pin here. And he is going to be 1/4 inch long. That's going to be the pin that inserts into the base. And now I'm going to make the slot that drives the rest of this. So I'm going to project geometry. And I'm going to switch my my slot type to center to center. And I'm going to dimension these to be this whole slot to be 1/4 inch wide. I suppose. So now I have my arm, my base, and my peg. I'm going to change this piece to be a different color. Orange works. So I'm now going to start an assembly. My assembly is going to have one of each of these 3 pieces. And I'm going to ground the base. So I'm going to right click, ground the base. And I know, the first thing I know is I know that this pin here, he can get inserted into this hole. Now what that does is makes it so his arm can now move around. And now this guy here, I know that this surface, top of this thing, gets mated to the top of this surface. And I know the edge of this, I can tangent, which is like sort of the round edge, round side. This is tangent to this surface here. Now I'm going to move this arm in here. This guy can move back and forth. I'm going to also constrain tangent between this peg and this arm. Now, when I move this arm back and forth, the arm goes inside here. Now, I can shoot it past the end, but now I have a linear motion from a rotary motion. Now, he can shoot through the end because I don't have interferences turned on, but the basic shape here does it. And we could do more complicated shapes. You could have had an arc this way. This is just a standard pin and guide. Does that make sense? The real trick here is not over-constraining things. If I over-constrained it and locked things to axes, I wouldn't be able to move this. But I now have a simple, this can move back and forth. And I get a left-right motion across here.